Hey folks, this is Ben back with you in the Midwest Model Shop. Today is a very exciting day. We are going to do a review of the brand new Verifier 1350th edition deluxe version of the heavy cruiser Atago in the 1944 configuration. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. So for this out-of-box review, we're going to do things a little bit differently. First of all, let's get out of the way. I was sent this model kit for free directly from Verifier. They reached out to me, it seems like actually several months ago directly, and they sent me an email and said, would you like to do a review of the deluxe version of this kit? It will be coming out soon. I said, yes, absolutely, please go ahead and send one over. They did, but I didn't get it until just recently. It seems like a lot of other people received it 2-3 weeks ago, and at least there are reviews available now already because of it. Particularly a good one to watch, Nigel's Modeling Bench. He's got a great breakdown of this kit, also like in depth and comparing it to the sister ship, which we already did a review of, the Atago. He kind of does a comparing and contrasting of the two. So what I'm going to do is we're going to save a little bit of time. We'll do a quick look at the box. We'll do a quick look at what you get on the inside, but we will place heavy emphasis on the deluxe version 3D printed parts. That's really what you're paying extra for on this. This ship went through a lot of configuration changes over its career. So this is the February 1944 configuration. You're going to have the Type 13 radar on board along with 25mm single machine guns in addition to everything else. Because there's everything on there, you probably could backdate it if you wanted to a different version. And I really like this ship because it's the Atago. When I play World of Warships, that's the version that you see in the game, and it just makes me feel happy. And so, yeah, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at all of that stuff. We'll jump right into the 3D printed parts that you're going to, we'll open the box, 3D printed parts you're going to get. We'll take a look at the detail instructions. And then at the end, I'll give you my final opinion on everything. As we begin, this quick little tour of the box. This is the front, a beautiful box cover. It doesn't, this is a wonderful picture in my opinion. It doesn't really show off the ship very well, but it's a very cool, pretty presentation of Atago, and I do like it. So you're going to get some details on the side here. This is kind of a dealy with the entire ship finished up right. Same picture on the end, and then over here you get your color callouts or what color the hull and everything should be, and then the same detail right over here on the end. So when we open up the box, right, what do we end up with here? So starts out just like that, and you have your two sets of instructions, a hull with some photo etch. So those of you who bought the Atago will notice that this is basically the same setup. And in fact, when you remove the hull, oh dear, here we go. It's the same setup and it's the same hull, which is great because it's supposed to be. And the detail, if you haven't seen it on the last one, along the hull is absolutely outstanding. I've had people make comments that the hull plating is too exaggerated. I think you people are wrong, in my opinion, because you're going to see it from here. See? And you kind of want everything to be into scale. And you also, on the box art and some of the pictures of the ship, you could see this heavy plating. All right, so then you're going to have your photo etch parts all taped down in here. We're going to leave those in place. Lift up, and we have a absolute sea of parts. And I'm not going to go through all of these. Any other video that you've seen, again, if you go check out Nigel's video, he tears apart every one of these. And it's basically, these are all your stock Atago parts. Well, not Atago parts, sorry, Atago parts. You do have your little chain here, your decal set. But over here, this is what we're interested in. Inside of here are the bulk of our aftermarket products, right? So let's go ahead and zip through those. All right, let's start out with this first little batch of 3D printed parts. And this is something I'm thinking about doing too. But if you look in there, these are the 25 millimeter NG single mount machine guns. And there's two parts. So these are the mounts over here. And then those are the 3D printed machine guns. And they've got their sights. When I say that this is something I'm thinking about doing personally, I'm talking about our 1/350th and 1/200 scale Oerlikon cannons. I have them printed already assembled. So all you gotta do is cut everything loose. I don't know if it would be beneficial to print them in two parts because then you have to assemble them. These all come in nice little bags, which I like the way they're organized. And then on this bag you have another sprue here, and everything's nicely numbered all the way around. This is for Atago. And in here, these are a bunch of the deck fittings and other miscellaneous parts. All right, moving along. Next up, we have some of the fittings that go over the funnels. This is the in lieu of photo etch. Now, the kit parts are the same thing. They're the same shape. They're just much thicker and don't have some of the little fine details in them. And this is definitely an improvement over those parts. And we had this in the Atago also. All right, along the same lines, we have these funnel parts. You can see there's ladders inside to climb up and down the different vents, but these drop down into the top of the funnel, and that the previous photo etch parts I showed you would sit up on top of that. And I think that they're very nice. A big improvement over the kit parts or not having anything in there at all. Same bag, you have blast bags, 10 of them, and these are actually the 203 millimeter gun blast bags. They call them gun water blast bags in the instructions, but can you see the little wrinkles in them? Once you paint these white or a light gray, whatever color is appropriate, that'll all pop out, and you get some really nice shading, and these will look really good. These are a good enhancement. And then, of course, they've already pre-drilled or molded the holes in the end so you could put your brass barrels inside. All right, here, 1/350th Atago, we've got some funny shaped things. These larger cylinders are your main director control towers. You get two of those. And then the other two that are kind of at an angle there, those are your survey telescope towers. So we've got all the nice little rivet detail and everything inside. So you could just cut those out and install them, and big improvement over the kit parts. And again, really nice fine detail there in 1/350th scale. You hit this with an airbrush, you'll retain that detail and it'll look very nice. All right, and then again, 1/350th Atago RP, we have this particularly small little piece labeled 15. It's got a little detail there. This is your bow detail here, right in front of the jack staff. So what I'm talking about is here you are in the ship, you go all the way to the front, it's this guy right here that you're installing. So that's nice that they put that together. It's just particularly small in this bag next to a fairly large sprue that we'll look at next. All right, so we have a series of items in here, and I was like, well, notably here at the top you have two gun directors, right? And then you have some other directors and some detail parts here. Now, this is the Atago, and it does say RP on there, 1/350th RP. Interesting fact. So I'm like, okay, that's a gun director here. How are these instructions working? Well, when I went to the detail set right here, this is obviously the gun director. It's there, it's right here, but it's not called out. Even up here for the other one, it's not there. This is where it goes, but the number's not there, which I thought was interesting. So then when I went to the stock instructions right here on page, I don't know what page number this is, but on this one, look at that, RP11. That is the 3D printed part, RP, and the 11 is that specific gun director. So, kind of back to like what Nigel was saying, and hopefully I mentioned in the beginning, you're going to need to bounce back and forth between the two instructions. I would identify this gun director, and I would probably mark it RP11 because it's in both instruction. Well, then it will be in both instructions. Obviously, someone chose to mark it here, therefore you don't need to indicate it right here. But I kind of feel like if you're gonna put aftermarket stuff in instructions, all of that should be there, right? Or have one instruction manual that says, here's our kit part RP11, unless RP11 is the stock part in the stock kit. Maybe that is how they handled this, and that's why it's in there. That's totally possible too. I'm not sure, but it ends up going right there. So just a point of interest. So this bag is cool. These are your 3D printed torpedoes that are used in midship to be reloaded, and you get 2 sprues worth, and these are very nicely done with some very nice details on the end and little hoops and stuff like that. They're placed in the bag back to back, which I would not hesitate to do. I think that keeps them safe. In the same bag we have this piece. What does it say? It doesn't have a specific name, but these are obviously for the lifeboats or your ship's boats, and then in there, that like half moon shape right here. Not sure if that is intended to go on the bow or the stern of the other ship, or how that works out, if it's even used. It may not be specific. That might be for the Takao. So this sprue is also specific to Atago. And on the end, these long things, those are your catapult parts. You've got a few paravanes in there. I think you might have the 203 millimeter gun turret parts A, they're marked. And then you have searchlight bases along with some other miscellaneous parts. So they're kind of mixing things up a little bit and making them fit, but just pay attention to what is what, and you won't have trouble. And they also have some handy dandy numbers on the side there if they choose to stay in focus. And then you've got them along this side as well. And if you notice, just a point of interest, see how it's kind of squished and looks funny? This is characteristic of 3D printing, where this is what's called your bottom layer. This is the build plate. Things don't always go according to plan within this layer height. Once you get above it, though, where your actual parts are at, and that's what the supports are for, things are printed at a different rate, and that's ultimately all that matters. But you can notice some of the deformation and silliness in the layer lines there in this example. But there's nothing wrong with the parts, just something to take note of. These next 2 sprues are cool. What we have here are 4 Type 89 127 millimeter anti-aircraft guns. This is part A, and hopefully you can make out all of the wonderful detail that they've printed inside of there. B are your barrels and the actual guns themselves that you'll follow the instructions to put together. And you can even make out, hopefully there you can see they've modeled, and it is successfully printed, the holes in the ends of the barrels. Very nice detail. These are the money parts. They're not too small. They're easy to handle and add a lot to the model. All right, this little sprue is full of binoculars, right? And your little searching devices, everything. And this is a generic part because it says 1350F Takao on it. These are all the same universal parts. I imagine this the same detail upset parts as the other ship there, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. These are sister ships. They're going to use a lot of the same components. All right, and this last piece, also Atago. What we have in here are 25 millimeter NG triple mount and twin mount guns. These are really cool. The shields look nice. The Detail is good. The guns look good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of this about having to install the gun parts onto the bases and everything. You know, by printing them upright like this, you minimize the supports, right, for the guns. Because on my 3D printed parts that I produce, I don't make these guns, but I print them all together, so you do have to do some trimming under the barrel. This, you're going to have to install everything, you know, but that's very cool. All right, so that takes care of all of our extra 3D printed parts on the detail set. Let's go ahead and take a look at the detail up set instructions. So as you saw at the beginning, this is your regular book of the Atago, your regular instructions, and inside everything's broken down very similar to the Takao, and you have your multicolored sections so you can make out what is what. You will need to pay close attention though to the differences between this and the detail up instructions. And again, note making as suggested is probably a good idea. So the detail up instructions are great. So that book was on glossy paper. This is more printed on just your traditional paper. It'd be very easy to write on this with a pencil, you know, little check mark or whatever. It's no big deal. It's not glossy. So here you have your inventory, your CNC brass parts that we did not take a look at. Those are just straight pieces and everything. But here you have your breakdown of all of your 3D printed parts. When you open it up, that's when things start to happen. So here we have our brass parts, and then you start getting into the assembly of your different guns. And if we come down in here just so you could see, I want you all to see the quality of the instructions on here, showing you where everything goes. So it's nice, right? Obviously. This is the next page over, all the detail work on your superstructure. As noted before, like this gun director is not labeled in here, but it is labeled in your regular instructions. So go back and forth between the two. Fortunately, this is not very complicated, and it'd be very easy to reference this next to your stock instructions and know what should be going where. Following page includes the details for the catapults. Then you're moving on to your funnels and even your funnel construction to get the trunk and everything to look right and have your pieces in the appropriate place. Same with the Takao. You know, the aft area here for handling the aircraft and things like that. It's just really nice. And I like that we have the brass parts for the rigging and the pulleys and stuff for your heavy cranes. I think that, while fiddly, is a wonderful feature while you're done, and it's going to be a lot more robust than you trying to make it yourself. All right, here we have some of our midship structures, and as you come on down, you can see this is really kind of what you're doing here. And if you compare all this to the kit supply parts, you're replacing a tremendous amount with brass and just kind of upgrading it to look nicer, right? And then this whole big piece gets installed up here in this section. And then you've got midship. This is I think on the lower deck. A lot of this, well, these are on the top deck. A lot of this would get covered for the torpedo launchers, but it's just great to have this detail available and see everything that's there. And then on your last page, you know, kind of your final assembly here of the ship, and big picture view of where everything goes. And I like that everything has a lot of names to help you identify what the pieces are. So that basically takes care of everything I wanted to show you in this. I'm now going to go ahead and give you my final thoughts. All right, folks, so that's it. This is the Verifier 1/350th Atago Heavy Cruiser, the Deluxe Edition version of the ship. What do I think? So I think we've made it clear that Verifire's a very high quality, high-end manufacturer. These ships are very, very nice. Do you want to get an Atago or the Takao? Should you get both? If you like Imperial Japanese Navy ships, absolutely get both. They're both the two main ships in the class. They're both played a big role in World War II. And if you follow the paint guide instructions with the color callouts, they're not the same color gray. They were manufactured in different places, and one is a different tone of gray than the other. So if you were to put them next to each other, they would look different. Nigel also pointed that out on his channel. I like the detail sets. I like that the 3D printed parts are labeled well, and I really like the big, easy to read detail set instructions. The one thing I noted, like I said earlier, I didn't care for the seemingly 3D printed part being labeled in the normal instructions, but it's in the detail set, and then it's not labeled in the detail set instructions. But this is not a particularly complicated build. There's not a lot to the instructions. So my first steps, and I think Nigel suggests this too, and he's right, either take some time to really invest mentally in the detail set instructions, which is only like 5 pages. You know, what are the sections and things that I'm going to be putting together? Or go ahead and go between the two. Do a little cross-referencing. There's plenty of room to write down and mark, say, you know, hey, replace this with this kit part number, or see detail set for this section and circle it, so that you have one set of instructions to move along to get to the other. Unlike Pontos and unlike KA, these detail set instructions are easy to read and understand. So really the only hurdle you're getting over is, wait a minute, is there a replacement part for this? Should I be using this kit part or the detail one? And then again, my favorite thing about kind of stuff like this, as long as you don't have to permanently cut and remove something, if there's a piece you're like, man, I don't know if I can fold that photo etch, I'm not sure if I can handle this, try with the detail part. If it doesn't work out, worst case scenario is you just put the default kit part on and you move on with the build. And a ship like this, that's not going to kill you. And no one's going to be like, hey, how come that's a stock part there? I mean, if you do something obvious, they might. But yeah, so this is a really good size ship. It's a nice size box. I love the instructions, and I'm looking forward to building this. And probably would build this one before the Takao, just because I have a soft spot for the Atago. Again, 1944 configuration. You should be able to backdate it if you've got that kind of research and you want to. It's going in my collection and on the to-do list. I'm not going to get to it right away, but I like it and I want to build it. Thank you very much to Verifier for sending this over. I appreciate it. I'm happy to do these kinds of reviews for you guys. I hope you found this review helpful and not too boring, because we cut right to the big differences. Go check out Nigel's Modeling Bench, or just do a YouTube search for the Verifier Atago Deluxe version review, because those folks, they will have gone through every single sprue for you if that's something that you want to do. I don't know how much this costs. I think it's a little bit more, well, probably a lot of it more than the stock kit. Would I buy this over the stock kit? Absolutely. With the quality of the 3D printed parts, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer, right? It's not too big. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, that's it. Feel free to leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got our regular builds coming along here soon. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.